Okay, without further ado, welcome everybody to author interview with JC Hannigan. So, JC Hannigan is a Canadian romance author known for crafting spicy love stories in Canadian settings. Her book focuses on relationships, mental health, social issues, and other life challenges. JC's stories are perfect for fans who crave rockstar romances set in Nova Scotia or small town romance series with spice and emotional depth. In tonight's interview, we'll be diving into who JC is as an author and what drives their stories and what to expect from JC in the near future. So, welcome, JC. It's so exciting to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. So, we wanted to, I guess, if you wanted to dive into just a little intro about yourself, who you are as a person and an author altogether, and then we'll get started into like kind of how you work as a writer.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be 36 very soon.
Love it.
I've been publishing for about 10 years now, actually 11. Yeah, 11. Yeah, I love reading, I love writing, I love telling stories, I love love.
Amazing.
It's
Okay.
one of my favorite things to write about.
Oh, fantastic. And so I guess I'm curious about Nova Scotia mentioned. We have a fellow maritimer in the chat. So, what is your process like? So, do you like to plot everything out in the beginning, or do you kind of discovery write and let your characters take over, or both?
So it's weird. It's kind of both. So like I'll get a couple of ideas here and there, different themes and whatever, and then I'll have to like ruminate on it for many, many years and just kind of brew all the ingredients together, you know what I mean? And then I kind of like I really spend too much time going into the backstories of my characters and their family life and their town life, like all of it. It's yeah. So it takes me some time. But I would definitely say that I'm like a I call it a plantser. So like I plan, but I end up writing from the seat of my pants, and then I end up kind of going off the rails on the plan, and the plan doesn't really exist, but it does.
Yeah, for sure. So, you mentioned that you sit on things for years. So, does that mean that your books don't really you don't like publish books like at the speed of light? You really just take your time. So, how often do your books tend to come out?
Um, every book has been like a really different process. My Rebel series, it was kind of like wham, bam, bam. Like within a month, I had each book written and whatnot. The Forgotten Flounder series, as Katrina will probably sound off in the comments, I'm still working on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it depends on the story and kind of like the heart of what I want to tell. So it takes me longer to tell certain stories than it does others. Like some are lighthearted and fluffy, and it's just, real quick for you. And then other times there's this like underlying message or theme that I want to take my time with.
Right.
Um, so Coalescence, for example, was a really quick write too. That's my single dad welder romance set in Port Hope, Ontario.
Nice.
And I kind of just wanted to see like how steamy could I go with that one.
I'm really excited for the question that's coming up about settings, Canadian settings, but we'll get there. So, do you have any writing rituals, or do you stick to specific schedules, like, or is it kind of like you write when you have a chance?
I'm, blessed to be able to stay at home, and my kids are older now and they're in school full time. So I kind of like spend the whole day writing or working
Amazing.
on bookish things. It really depends on, like right now I'm doing a lot of promotional, making graphics and all that fun stuff for
Right.
my new release that's coming up. But yeah, I usually sit down around 7 o'clock, write for at least an hour or two, and then get my kids up and get them ready to go to school and go back to it kind of thing.
Wow.
Um, my ritual is pretty much like caffeinate and fuel up every so often.
Exactly. I mean, it's a huge game changer. I have a 5.5-year-old, so I totally get this kid being in the school part. I wish I'm jealous. I'm so jealous that you're just like a full-time writer. It's just the dream. It's the dream.
I say
Really.
full time, but I definitely spend a lot of time procrastinating too. So
So are your works all strictly romance, like every single one of them, or have you ever like delved into anything else?
So for the most part, there's definitely heavy themes of romance throughout everything I've ever written. My debut series, though, is kind of more like a new adult romantic suspense versus like small town romance or rockstar romance. Yeah, I like I like the emotions that love brings out in people, right? So it's a lot of fun for me to write that, even if I'm doing like new adult or paranormal or anything. I think I'll always probably. I mean, I also when I was younger would write like horror stories. they just they didn't have any love in them, but I've never actually published any of my weird horror stories. So
That could be like a special edition.
yeah,
Just like
JC After Dark. I don't know.
after dark, exactly. That's perfect. Um, cool. And so, what drove you to originally write romance? Or I guess just, yeah, because you said you started off with horror. So, what drove you to to write and write romance?
Well, not to sound like a cliche or whatever, but I fell in love.
Oh,
So I don't know. I just kind of I love the happy feelings that come with that, and I've got a lot of stuff like chronic pain disorders and whatnot that kind of make life a little bit difficult. So I find that by focusing on the better things in life, that keeps me kind of, floating.
right. Awesome. And do do you have dual point POVs in your works? So do you have that
Not in
in?
my
Sorry, go ahead.
not in my Debbie, like not in the Collide series. It's kind of just told from her point of view. But yeah, I started doing dual. I think in the second book of the Damage series when I had Grayson's come in and I got addicted to the back and forth, right? Like what she's thinking and then what he's thinking and then like, I just have more fun with it that way.
It is a lot of fun, like having the readers think, oh, he thinks a certain way, but then you go into the point of view and he's thinking something totally different or in a different way. But how do you find switching those personalities when you go from like this chapter being about in her point of view and then switching to him?
I actually don't have a hard time with it. Sometimes if I get like hung up on something that he would do, for example, I just bug my husband. I'm like, what's a realistic thing
Yeah,
here, But mostly it's kind of like I know my characters and I know what they're feeling and thinking. So I'm able to get into their headspace a little, easier than I mostly bug him for things like what kind of car would he drive?
exactly. Yeah, and I'm curious about that because in one of my interviews, someone asked like, "How does it feel to switch?" And I'm like, "It feels like a click."
Yeah.
No, anybody?
It's like a light switch, right? Like like just totally different. It's weird. Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
click. It's like a click. That's the best way to describe it. Is
It's
like,
really
okay, now
weird
I'm gonna be
describing it out loud
yeah.
without
I
sounding like
don't
a
know if I
psychopath.
could do like multiples. I've never tried to do like, more than two point of
Yeah.
view in a book.
Next
But
challenge.
right?
Maybe in like a love triangle one. That would be interesting. Okay, so here's the question that I was like looking forward to. So you write heartfelt small town romances set in Canada with a healthy dose of spice. So what makes Canadian settings so special? Like, I mean, I'm assuming it's because Canadian, but can you list off some of the notable places where your stories take place? So Port Hope was one
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah. So I like to write in Canadian settings because like growing up and reading a lot of books, I was always kind of a little put out that there was never anything really written in Canada, and when there was, I like consumed it and loved to like picture where they were. Like, I think Kit Pearson's The Sky is Falling is one of the first books that come to mind that I read that was a Canadian setting, and I just like really loved that feeling of feeling like I've been there in that area, right? So I tend to write about places I've either been or places that I know from like family stories or that I want to go to.
Right.
So like my Rebel series takes place in the Parry Sound area, and it's kind of heavily inspired by my husband's family and their heritage land. Um, so that was close to me for that reason. The Key to 19B takes place in Bowmanville, where we lived for a number of years.
Oh,
That was our
wow.
first place together, the very house that they lived in.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah,
I lived around that
across
area
from
too.
yeah, yeah. So, uh, the Damage series takes place in Newcastle, which I kind of grew up in. Like, I technically grew up in Newtonville, but I spent a lot of time in Newcastle.
Wow.
And then, which ones have I forgotten? A lot of them. Port Hope for Coalescence, Riverside Riviere, which I released last summer. It takes place on the French River because I went camping with my husband and a bunch of our friends, and I just fell in love with it.
Nice.
I was like, a book has to take place here. Like, it's just, it has to. There needs to be a camping trip book, and it has to be here. So I wrote that, and it also takes place in Sudbury. I've been a few times to Sudbury, and
Nice.
oh, the Forgotten Flounders in Nova Scotia, in Lunenburg and Mahone Bay, and that was for my Aunt Doris. Throughout COVID, when I was writing that book, we talked a lot about my particular family's history and her family's history, and a lot of her family came from Lunenburg, and they were very big into music, and so was my papa. He was the line drummer that inspired Callan's grandpa. So like, I really want to go there one day, but also like it was important to Papa and my granny and Aunt Doris and a lot of family to have that kind of, in my books as a nod to them.
And Macy, who is a Maritimer, says, "Oh my God, what a cute setting. Lunenburg is such a quaint town."
It is. I spent so many, like, I literally had my mother-in-law went to Lunenburg on a trip, and she brought me back like a map.
Oh,
And
you
yeah,
just
it's like
have
right
it
here.
with you.
I do. I one day want to go really, really bad.
It's quite the drive, but if you want
It
to take
is.
a car, but it's a fun drive. You get to drive through like 3 different provinces, so
It's a very, very long drive.
fantastic. Okay, so we're gonna go a little bit more on a personal route here. So I know that you're a wife and a mother, but how much of your life, well, you just told me a bit about how your life trickles into your novels. So do you have a particular novel that is more personal or close to your heart than the other ones?
I feel like I put trickles in all of them. So they're all really important for like different reasons. Like I said, the Rebel series is kind of like an ode to my husband's family and his childhood and his land up there. The Forgotten Flounders is kind of like, you know, my papa with the line drumming. Camping, because I love camping. Me, my husband, and I, and our kids, we go camping all the time. Our friends, it's just something we love to do. Um, yeah, I just kind of put something important to me in every book, so it's just kind of like a way for it to live on, I guess.
Are you looking at your books as you're thinking?
Yeah. I did grab a stack of them, just like I don't
Nice.
have all of them printed right now, but yeah, I was just trying to think of like the other little things that I've put in the books. And sometimes too, it's strange, but like I'll write something and then it'll come true in a different way for either somebody I know or, and it's strange to me. I'm like, oh, that's a little weird. But
It's fine. You're psychic. You are.
it's cool. It's cool.
You're apparently writing
Manifesting.
prophecies. This is fine.
A little manifestation. It's fine.
Awesome. And then you shared before the interview that you and your children live with a rare bone disorder. Let's talk about that first.
Okay. It's called multiple hereditary exostosis, and it's a chronic pain bone disorder. So essentially, we have extra bones, like benign bone tumors that grow off the other bones.
Mhm.
So basically the only treatment for it is pain management and surgeries to like kind of shave it down if it's interfering with other, like joints or ligaments, blood vessels, muscles, tendons.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I've had like upwards of probably 30 surgeries or more. I stopped counting
Oh, geez.
in and around when I had my firstborn because I was like, I just don't like that number.
Wow. And
And yeah,
that must be really hard to like, and this is a day to day. This isn't just like flare ups, right?
yeah, yeah.
So how has writing become like a therapeutic thing to kind of because you mentioned that it was a way for you to provide for your family as well, the writing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So it's, I haven't had any luck finding a traditional job that can accommodate my limitations and also my kids' limitations because it's not just me that has to call in because of a bad pain day. My kids have bad pain days, they have surgeries, they have, recovery periods there. So it's very difficult, I think, especially as a mother, that it's hard to hold on to a job when you have kids that rely on you like that and when you yourself have something. So I just kind of started writing when they were younger as a way to keep my mind occupied and keep myself distracted and just sort of maybe build something at home, like on my own terms. If it's a bad pain day for somebody, I can walk away from the story and I can be the mom slash nurse slash whatever I need to be. And I can go back when things are good again.
right.
So it's kind of the idea with that. And then like the hope too of building a kind of like a legacy that my kids can one day maybe inherit.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. And so I guess I'm kind of you've kind of already answered this. How has this or MHE uh, impacted your approach to storytelling? Like, do you keep them segregated, or do
No,
you? Okay, go ahead.
I definitely don't. Like, I have a couple of characters throughout all of my books that have different disabilities. I have two characters that actually have multiple hereditary exostosis. One is Sam. She's in my Rebel series. She'll be getting her own book one day.
Oh, awesome.
um, and then there's Nick in my Forgotten Flounder series, and he's my little boy with multiple hereditary exostosis. So, like, I'm approaching it from like the woman growing up with it, right? Like the girl slash woman growing up with it, and then the parent raising a child who has it. So
I imagine that those were really hard for you to write.
I haven't written them yet, and
Oh
that's why.
gosh.
Yeah, they're you meet these characters in the other stories for sure, but they're like my third Forgotten Flounder book is Rena's story, and she's the mother of Nick.
Right.
So you'll get that story in that book, and then Sam's story is going to be Rebel Bones, and that's coming too, kind of like coinciding because they do interconnect. Like you don't have to read them all in a particular order, but you'll see like Easter eggs
Yeah.
of different series and different characters. Because I thought, like how often do you connect with somebody online that lives over here that has something that you have,
Right.
or does something that you do, writing, right? Like,
Exactly.
so they're kind of interconnected in that way.
And I really appreciate having that kind of message being put into your novels. It's not, I mean, as much as it needs to be highlighted, you're putting it into a romance novel, but also allowing these romance readers to be aware that this exists. It's not just your typical like spicy romance, it's actually like a learning opportunity for readers as well. And I really appreciate
Yeah.
that. All right, moving on. So you're building a wonderful growing platform across everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and your website, of course. So which platform do you enjoy the most and why?
That's a tough question. I feel like they all have their perks and they all have their disadvantages. I'm definitely like ADHD, so like I'm all over the place and it's hard to give any one thing my focus, so I just try to give it everywhere.
Right.
I try to be like approachable everywhere. I think I would probably have the most fun doing like reels and TikToks. Um, I'm kind of getting into making my own graphics, but it's definitely a tedious process. So, like sharing the photo part,
Right.
eh.
I saw there are a few of your posts that I really love. There's the my husband holding my weight as I try to make my writing career grow, and he's just holding you while you're running. That one
I
I think
love
is my
that one.
favorite.
I wanted to do like an updated one because we finally finished the kitchen. So like we were renovating the whole kitchen and we were just I was like we need to like do some contenty fun stuff and I did that and I'm like I love that but like now that the kitchen's done I want to do it again.
And I love how you incorporate your husband in your posts, especially like the forearms. I've seen like at least two posts of his forearms. So like we appreciate
I
you.
live I know. I was like I'm sorry. I need content and you have forearms. So here we are.
And know what? I had a conversation with my husband as well. So I'm like, other writers are including
Like
their husbands.
it's almost not fair though. Like you could literally take a video of them doing something mundane like mowing the lawn or washing dishes and it's considered forearm porn. It's like I do that too, but it's definitely not the same.
um, and okay, so I would writerly appreciates your forearm porn comment. As much as I could talk about this forever, you have several promos running right now, right? So Collide and Would You Not? Would you like to talk about your different promos there?
Okay, so Collide is permanently free because it's like my oldest book, and I just kind of figured, whatever, it's free, go download it. That was, but be warned, that was my first book, so I've come a long way since then. So that one's always free. Would You Not's on sale for $2.99 right now because I'm doing a first of the series sale before I release the second book in that series called Last Resort, and that's releasing August 11th, and it's available for pre-order. But I also recently put Offbeat for free because I'm participating in a promo on the 20th of June for Stuff Your Kindle. But
Nice.
because I'm wide, like I'm not in Kindle Unlimited, I am wide. It takes Amazon a very long time usually to update and price match things. So like I wanted to make sure that they made it free for the promo. So I'm basically just going to leave it free throughout the month of June because I'm like I don't want to I don't want to mess with that promo. But yeah, you can download that now
Awesome. So,
for
and
free.
all of your works are available on Amazon, correct?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Amazon, Kobo, Barnes and Noble, Apple Books, the whole shebang. They're actually in Kobo Plus too if you're subscribed to that. So yeah.
Perfect. And did you want to? Oh, because you said that they're both first books of the series. So, what kind of romances are they?
So Collide is the romantic suspense book. Essentially, it's about a 17-year-old girl who ends up having an inappropriate relationship with her English teacher. And it's kind of like the repercussions of that, plus a bunch of other stuff that's happening in town with her and her friends. It's a three-part series, and you kind of like the first book you're like, oh yeah, I like this, I dig it. And then like the second book you're kind of like, oh okay, like I'm beginning to see that maybe wasn't the greatest thing. Like hindsight 2020, right? Like we all.
Yeah.
So that's
So
what
we
that series
grow
is.
as the character grows.
Yes, and like I guess the main background story is she ends up saving a classmate from SA, but not really. Like she walks in during it and she helps her, but then it turns out that that girl got pregnant from it, and she helps that girl get justice by taking it to court and stuff like that. And then her whole life kind of gets threatened because the cops are a little bit dirty and they find the information on her, like she's kind of doing this inappropriate relationship with her teacher, so they're gonna mess up her life too. So yeah, it's a
That
heavier
sounds heavy.
one. It's very heavy. That's why I said it's like romantic suspense. So there's romantic elements, and there's another character, a love triangle that gets introduced in the later books, and you kind of like, you know, That one's a bit heavier. And then Offbeat is the first book in my Forgotten Flounders series. So it's Rockstar Romance set in Nova Scotia. And basically, he's been on tour for 9 years with his band, and his grandfather dies, so he returns home for the funeral, and he finds out that his high school sweetheart, that he basically all but ghosted to go on tour, it had a baby. So he has a son, and now he's got to decide like what the next move is, I guess. But there's a lot of family secrets in this one too for the Jacobs family that come out throughout this book and then book two. So this is the only series that I really have that you have to read in order, because even though it's different couples, like this one off limit is Dare and Connor is Callum's younger sister, and Dare is his bandmate. So they're a different couple, but like it's the same continuing story as in book one, where you find out certain secrets about certain people. Try not to give too many spoilers. So, and then the third book too.
The men on these book covers, are they local?
No, I wish. No, they're stock. They're stock images. This one I really love. I really love Dare though.
It never hurts to ask.
One day, that's my goal, is find people who actually want to be on book covers.
I'm sure it's not hard. Just, just go out on the street and yell, and I'm sure they'll come.
Who wants to be the next Fabio?
And so your next release, Last Resort, that one drops, as you said, in August. What can you tease readers about in that?
Oh, it's an unexpected an unexpected pregnancy. Sorry, like they have a one night stand and she gets pregnant and she decides to keep it. So that might be triggering to some people, or it might not be other people's cups of tea. I've seen a lot of posts lately of people saying they don't ever want to read that. I'm like, oh, I found the right crew here. Yeah. Okay. But it's just kind of the story that got in my head with these two particular characters. He's a former playboy. She's relationship wary. She's kind of like been on her own for a long time. Her parents are older, and sort of like as soon as she turned 18, they were like, our job here's done. So she's not really into relationships. She also has, and I know I'm going to butcher the pronunciation because I can read better than I can say things, but endometritis. Oh my God, I can't say it.
Endometriosis?
Yes, thank you. I can say certain things perfectly fine, but that one, I'll just say it's endorep. She has that. So like this pregnancy, she wasn't expecting at all, and she kind of feels like it's her one chance, right? So she moves to Hartwood Creek to be closer to her best friend, and also that's where the former one night stand and potential baby daddy is. So she ends up working for him at his family resort, and there's these three little old ladies, triplets, that love to matchmake and cause antics.
I love that.
They also have witchy vibes and have a love elixir that they like to give people to matchmake them. So they're always like trying to get people to take this love potion, It's
just rum.
It's a special kind of chocolate.
Oh, nice. And is Hartwood Creek based on another Canadian setting?
So Hartwood Creek is my only book that is set in Canada, in Ontario, like northern Ontario-ish, but it is a fictional town. And I did that because of all of the like backstory that I have for the Hartley family. I didn't want like anybody to be like, our founding families weren't witches, So like I kind of created my own fictional town where I wouldn't tick anybody off by saying like, yeah, there's definitely, witchy people here.
Right. That's smart move. Smart move.
And it's also kind of like an ode to my granny, because her maiden name was Hartley, so it's kind of like,
Nice. Very nice. And I'm actually wanting to go back a little bit. You've got me thinking. You've trickled in a lot of your family into a bunch of your works, but is there anything that's like you personally?
Me personally, probably Sam. from the Rebel series. She's a lot like me, like doesn't like to admit she's in pain, tries to hide it, tries to, mask a lot. Um, yeah, I'd probably, but personality wise too, like Harlow would have been like who I wished I could be when I was a teenager, like abrasive, like take no shit kind of. She's my Collide heroine.
Nice.
That's what I wanted to,
I feel like every author has like that one character that's like they're me but cooler.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, Harlow, especially because, like, it was my first time writing. That was like who I wished that I could have been, right? Um, in that, like, yeah, she's just very abrasive and sarcastic, and
I love that. All right. So we're gonna wrap up very shortly. So my last question is, what advice would you give to aspiring authors who are working to self-publish, especially those managing chronic illness or any other challenges? Yeah.
good one. I would say just keep writing. Take it one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, and just keep moving forward and chipping away at it.
And what would you say is the most challenging thing that you have faced when self-publishing, like going through all those processes?
I would say, because with self-publishing, you're fronting the cost of the editing, the cover design, like all of it. You're fronting it yourself. So I would say that for me, it would be like financial constraints and stress over that, right? Like just making sure that I have enough to go around while not taking away from any other important things. So yeah, definitely financially like figuring that out because I always hire editors. I always hire a cover designer because like I said, I'm just learning how to do graphics, but I'm definitely not like make your own book cover graphic level, and I don't think I ever will be.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I hire out for that. I do the formatting myself, but I had to buy a very expensive program to do it, but it pays for itself with like within a book or two.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, and editors are super expensive, but they are so worth it.
They are. I would
What?
definitely say not like I know it's hard. I definitely know it's hard, but definitely don't like chimp out on the editors. Like they because we look at our stories so many times that we miss so much because we're seeing it how we want to see the final product, which is fine, but it's not so fine when you're trying to get it ready to be the final product. You need somebody else to come in and be like, okay, I see what you're doing here, but
Like for me, I my Achilles heel is the comma. I can't use a
mine is
comma to
M
say
dashes.
M dashes.
Oh, I use too many of them. Way too many of them.
And your editor's like, you're starting to look like AI, so you need to stop.
No, Meta stole my book, so I'm pretty sure AI looks like me because of my amount of M dashes. So you're welcome, Meta. But definitely, yeah, I think like now it's a running joke that I just like throw them in for funsies. She's like, you're doing this intentionally. And I'm like, yeah, keeping you on your toes.
That's like me with commas. It's like, you could take that one out. I'm like, yes, of course. I know how to use
I
them.
know, but I just wanted it there for now.
Yeah, it just
Like,
looked right.
right? Like, it helps the whole like characters too when you're writing.
um, I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet to say goodbye. I want to do a little bit more. So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit about your characters and the process of creating your characters. So, what sparks your first idea? Is it the plot, or is it the character, or is it like some minuscule thing that you end up having to write around?
Oh, that's such a good question. It's a combination of all, I think, because it's been something like that for every book, right? Like, um, so like the Forgotten Flounders series, uh, it was kind of just I wanted to write about that difficult father-son relationship, you know? And I wanted to get in the headspace of like, well, what if the father has mental health issues? And so the sons also inherited those mental health issues. And then they kind of like butt heads because they both have the same way of ticking, you know. But they so like that kind of was the beginning of that. But then I just wanted to make him a rock star because, well, like I was,
Why
you
not?
know, why not? Why not? What other job could you leave home for a number of years and become really, really rich and basically buy your way back into your exes?
And that was the one that was set in Nova Scotia and around your aunt's family and your grandparents. And so, like, did that come in later, or was that all part of like that original idea?
Well, the East Coast music scene's pretty big, so that was kind of where I wanted my guys to hail from, you know. And then I wanted them to have like that that family, like somebody in the family that kind of pushed them towards music. So in Callum's place, it was his grandfather. And I based his grandfather off of my grandfather because my papa has spent his entire life telling me stories of his line drumming days. You know, like just kind of, it felt right, I guess. So like all these little pieces would come together and it would feel right in that way. And it just kind of went from there. And then when I was talking to my Aunt Doris, I found out that her family was actually from there. And I had already picked the location because I liked the pretty houses in Lunenburg. She's so like that was it just felt even more right, you know?
Awesome. And your characters themselves, I don't care about the female MCs. I want to talk about the guys. Are they? I get kind of like a vibe that they're not exactly cinnamon rolls. They're not like your golden retriever vibes, but
I do have cinnamon roll characters. Like Nyx from Would You Not is definitely more of a cinnamon roll than say Callum, who's very, you know, like dark and mysterious and he's the musician, like, you know, the broken bad boy. I do love writing a broken bad boy. You're right. I do. Yeah. Yeah, I
who
do.
doesn't?
But I balance it out with a few you know, playful characters or responsible characters. Like Dare, he's not a broken bad boy at all, but he's very artistic and musically inclined as well. And he's like the caregiver of the group. He's like the dad of the group. So like they're on tour and he's taking care of Callum, who's brokenhearted and self-destructive, and making sure that Evan, who's like totally irresponsible and like just down for a good time, says yes to everything when he probably shouldn't. He's making sure everybody's, you know, doing okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely have a lot of bad boy
We love it. We want to see how you fix them.
self awareness.
And what would you
I
say
make them have
is
self awareness.
what would you say was your most like light-hearted book versus your spiciest book?
Ah, okay.
I know there are at least
Lighthearted.
4 people that have their ears open right now listening for the spiciest book. But
The spiciest book is probably going to be Coalescence, which is the single dad welder romance that I decided to go super, super spicy with. Like, I swear they bang in every chapter almost. Probably not every chapter, but a lot of the chapters. And it basically kicks off with them hooking up on a one
nice.
night stand. So and then he shows up to work on Monday morning at her father's welding shop. She's the receptionist, and she's like, "Oh shit!" But then she's like, "Oh shit, oh shit, okay. How can we get a repeat?" So that's probably my spiciest. I would say lighthearted would be this one. Like it's still got like spicy scenes, but not as many. Uh, but the vibe is like more wholesome, I guess.
Yeah,
Until they're, but it's more wholesome.
right. And Would You Not is
Um,
currently on sale as well, right?
yeah, that's
Nice.
$2.99 right now. Regularly $3.99. And then this one is just like this one to I started writing Riverside Revier, I think in like 2017. And like it started with like this like thought of like what happens if you get a Snapchat photo of your sister in bed with your high school boyfriend before you come home from college for the summer, right? And that's kind of what started that. So she's like a city girl. She's not really into outdoors, but her best friend is, and her best friend's like, you got to get out of that situation. Come camping with me. And she joins them on a camping trip, and she meets Theo, who's like my nerdy little mineral rock boy. Okay.
I love
So like
this.
the way he talks about the heroine is so nerdy and sweet, and he's also kind of cinnamon rolly, but he knows how to get down and dirty. So like,
Why not both?
why not both? Why not both?
Rock boy. That's funny.
My nerdy little rock boy.
Oh my gosh, I need time to read. I need to quit my job. I
Just read all day.
right? Okay, so to wrap up this interview, I have a little this or that game that I did not prepare you for at all to keep you on your
dear.
toes.
Okay.
So, you don't have to like answer particularly fast, but just pick one or the other. All right, so the first one is writing at home or out of the house.
Mostly out of the or at home, but I do like the odd out of the house. I do like the odd out of the house, but mostly at home because I can make all the weird faces.
Right? And then when you're writing those spicy scenes and you start like your face starts turning a little red, it doesn't look as awkward.
Or like you're like trying to figure out like would that work, and you're like wrinkling your nose and like tilting your head, like
Trying to figure out positions.
Yeah. That's better to be at home. You can use the like action figures to help help guide you.
Write your spicy scenes at home, people. All right. Do you start writing or writing out your ideas in a notebook or a Word document?
Well, Word document. I have a hard time writing pen to paper because of the whole phone disorder thing.
All right.
But also like mostly in my notes on my phone, probably because like I'll get random ideas and I'll just be like type.
Awesome. Outline everything first or discover as you go?
I have like a base outline, but I discover what the characters are going to do as I go. So like I don't dictate what they're going to do until I know them better, and they just kind of do it.
Awesome. Spicy scenes in male POV or female POV?
I like both. I like to alternate it. And then the best part is when I alternate it and I'm telling his point of view and I'm like, hey, husband, come here. I need you to tell me, is this something you think in the heat of the moment here?
Research purposes.
Yeah.
Friends to lovers or enemies to lovers?
I gotta say friends to lovers. Like, maybe because I'm biased and I definitely have a lot of characters that were friends first. I don't know how, I've never been able to turn enemy into friend, so let alone lover. You know what I mean? I hold a grudge. So, I mean, I should try it just for fun to see if I could, but.
That is so true. Are you a Scorpio too?
No, I'm a Gemini.
Okay. Or maybe it's just like an us thing. It's fine.
Nothing.
Okay, so rockstar romance or small town handyman romance?
Why not both?
I know.
I do love a blue collar man. I do. I love a rock star, but I love a blue collar man. So
I see it. I see it. He rescues her or lets her rescue herself?
Her rescue herself? But he's there. He's there.
That was like kind of a test question, actually.
Yeah.
Flirty banter or slow burn yearning?
I like both. It really depends on the characters. Yeah. I love banter though. Like in Last Resort, there's some banter going on between the couples that when I was writing, I was just laughing so hard. Like I could picture it in my head and I was like, this is funny. But that's also a slow burn. So like they have the banter and it's flirty, but it's a slow burn.
Macy says, a Gemini, happy early belated birthday.
It's early because it's happening on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, so cinnamon roll or tattooed bad boy?
Tattooed bad boy.
She makes the first move or he does?
Again, that kind of depends on the
It's
characters
hard.
that I'm writing because, like, the tone, right? Like, sometimes it's her making the move that's really hot, and then other times it's him making the move that's really hot. So it really depends on the setup we got going on.
All right. And my last two are a little bit Canadian focused. Bonfire confession or a hockey rink kiss?
Bonfire confection.
Mm-hmm.
Confession.
And
Hockey rink is cold. I don't like being cold.
I don't do cold either. I hate it. Nova Scotia coastlines or Ontario cottage country?
Oh, why you gotta do me like that?
I know.
That one's hard. I will have to say Ontario cottage country only because I get to go there all the time and I've not yet been to the Nova Scotia coastline, but I think that it would probably range. I did count that.
Have you ever had mussels?
Mussels?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm not into fish.
Because that's what the
Like
coastlines
seafood.
smell like. It's like when the tide goes out, it just smells like mussels. So
I mean, I did live in Port Hope near the river, the Ganaraska River, for a while, and that was not good. That smelled like
strong smells.
fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the coastline for you. Awesome.
Yeah, cottage country.
That was all I had for our interview. So that wraps it up. If does anybody in chat have any questions at all? There is about a 10-second delay, so I ask a question and then you have to kind of sit here awkwardly and wait for any answers. But let's see if there's anything else in chat. We have author Reka Chata here. Hello, Reka. Welcome. I'm happy for you guys. Congrats on your books. Writer Lee says, I can also relate to the hubs being involved in my media content. And she also says, hire that editor.
Yes.
Yep. So far, no answers are coming in. So I'm assuming that you guys do not have any questions. So we are going to wrap up this interview. I'm staring at chat like, are you sure? Oh, Writer Lee says, I swear I had like 3 questions and forgot them all. Well, that's not very helpful, Writer Lee.
Okay, yes, no, and yes.
Yes, no, yes. But this was amazingly fun, she says. I'm so glad that you enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for coming. Yes, no, yes, got it. This has been great. So this interview will be posted on my own YouTube. I will send you a copy so you can do as you like, clip it weird. I don't know, do as you will. It was so great to have you. Thank you so much. I am looking forward to having so many more of these, especially with some local authors. It's a great time. So if I can mirrored over here in the overlay, you will see JC Hannigan's socials. There's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and her website there. So if you want to go check out JC's work, go buy some books. They sound amazing. Mama Redneck says, thanks so much for coming. Writer Lee says, thanks for doing this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This has been awesome, JC. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night, and we will talk shortly. All right.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yes, you too. Bye.
Bye.